Good day to Dr. TARIKUL and to my fellow viewers. Today we are from Group 5 going to present a critical reflection on our material development project rooted in English for Specific Purposes or ESP. Specifically, we will explore an e-module that we have developed to support the unique communicative needs of e-hailing drivers in Malaysia, looking closely at our data collection, pedagogical choices, and our own growth as trainee teachers. To understand why this project is conducted, we must first look at what English for Specific Purposes actually is. Developed since the 1960s, ESP emerged because of the post-war global economic and technological growth, which meant basic and general English that is used for day-to-day communication was no longer sufficient for specialized industries that uses certain terms. ESP targets the exact grammatical components and communicative context that require for the career advancement. So it shifts the focus away from abstract language rules and focus entirely on teaching the language for getting things done within the occupation environment. To build this toolkit, we must first conduct a public needs analysis to discover how this community actually uses English. In ESP, localizing our teaching materials to match our learners' exact professional needs is vital. Tailoring materials directly to students' context significantly boosts their motivation and language acquisition. While structural and curricular constraints meant we couldn't include every individual request, we worked diligently to integrate the most high-impact language features to support their careers. So, our project brings this theory to life by focusing on e-hailing drivers in Malaysia. This diverse demographic, ranging from young adults to elderly, serves as the front line of customer service in our tourism-driven economy. For these drivers, standard conversational English is not enough. To perform their job safely and efficiently, they need a highly specific linguistic toolkit where they must give precise navigation instructions, manage real-time fare adjustments, and crucially execute calm professional communication to resolve high-stakes passenger conflicts as well as recommending tourist attractions to them.
Now I will be presenting the summary of our needs analysis conducted for e-hailing drivers regarding their English language needs. Our data was collected through interviews with 3 e-hailing drivers and a questionnaire completed by 17 respondents. The purpose of this needs analysis was to identify their lacks, needs, and wants in using English for their daily work. Let us take a look at the lacks, which refer to the gaps between the driver's current English abilities and the language skills required for their jobs. From the interviews, we found that many drivers face difficulties in understanding different foreign accents, fast speech, and slang. Some also reported limited vocabulary, pronunciation problems, and a lack of confidence when speaking English with passengers. Communication breakdowns often occur when confirming destinations, explaining delays, or handling passenger requests. In addition, several drivers rely heavily on repetition, gestures, Google Translate, or translation applications when misunderstandings happen. Anxiety, nervousness, and limited opportunities to practice English were also identified as barriers to effective communication. The questionnaire findings also support these interview results, where many respondents indicated that grammar mistakes and difficulty understanding others are among the most common problems that they face when using English. While most respondents rated their speaking ability as good or quite good, many were only somewhat confident when speaking English with passengers. Next, let us discuss the needs identified through the analysis. The findings show that e-hailing drivers require practical and functional English that can be directly applied in their workplace. They need speaking and listening skills to communicate with passengers from different linguistic backgrounds. Specifically, they need to be able to confirm pickup and drop-off locations, explain routes, provide tourist recommendations, handle complaints, and manage misunderstandings professionally. Drivers also need improved pronunciation, vocabulary related to transportation and tourism, and greater exposure to different international accents. The questionnaire further revealed that English is considered highly important for their work, especially when interacting with foreign passengers. Most respondents frequently use English during rides, often explain directions in English, and regularly recommend food, tourist attractions, or local places to passengers. Handling complaints and misunderstandings was identified as one of the most difficult communication tasks. Now, on to the wants of the respondents. The interviews showed that drivers want to improve their spoken English and listening skills so that they can communicate more confidently with foreign passengers. They prefer learning that is practical, relevant, and immediately applicable to their work. Many respondents expressed interest in learning how to give directions, explain traffic delays, recommend tourist attractions, and engage in small talk with passengers. They also want flexible learning opportunities that fit their busy schedules. The questionnaire results clearly reflected this preference. Most respondents preferred self paced learning and mixed learning methods. Role-play activities involving driver passenger scenarios were the most preferred learning activity. In terms of language skills, respondents most wanted to improve their speaking skills, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Many were also interested in learning about tourist recommendations and how to handle complaints effectively. Finally, the means analysis revealed that all respondents have access to smartphones and internet, making mobile-based learning a practical option. However, lack of time was identified as the biggest obstacle to learning English. Therefore, any ESP course designed for these drivers should provide short, flexible, and mobile-friendly lessons that can be completed during breaks or free time. In conclusion, our needs analysis revealed that e-hailing drivers require practical English communication skills for workplace interactions. Their main lacks involve confidence, pronunciation, listening comprehension, and communication strategies. Their needs focus on functional workplace English, while their wants center on flexible role-play-based and mobile-friendly learning experiences. These findings will guide the development of an ESP course that is relevant, practical, and tailored to the real communication demands of e-hailing drivers.
A very good day I bid to Dr. TARIKUL and to everyone watching this video. Today, I will be presenting our team's 8-hour ESP e-module entitled English Behind the Wheel. This e-module was created on the Google Slides platform and consists of the homepage, background information, reading skill page, listening skill, writing skill, speaking skill, and assessment pages. Let's take you through the homepage first. Firstly, we have a short welcoming paragraph for our target audience who are e-hailing drivers. They will then scroll to the introduction where a simple preface on English for specific purposes will be shared with them. There are 4 shortcuts to each skill next. As you can see here, we have embedded the skills in the homepage and on top of the sides for better interactivity. For each skill, there will be 2 hours allocated for it. So altogether, there will be a full 8-hour course. We also have a participation form for the e-hailing drivers to record their further interest in our e-module for our learning purposes. And finally, a feedback form for their suggestions and comments is also included in this link here. One key feature we implemented is that our feedback forms are embedded in every page. This ensures continuous improvement and encourages users to reflect on their learning experience. Now, we will click on background information. It will take us to this page, discussing the background of our e-module. The main learning goal, as stated here, is to improve drivers' confidence, communication skills, and customer service quality through practical and mobile-friendly English learning activities. The main learning outcomes of this e-module for our e-hailing drivers are to communicate clearly and politely with passengers in English, handle pick-up, drop-off, and traffic situations professionally, recommend tourist attractions and local food confidently, respond to misunderstandings and complaints effectively, and to improve listening and speaking skills for real-life conversations. A short summary of our activities are also included here, and these are the materials and resources used in our e-module altogether. That is all for the background information. Let's move on to the reading section. For the reading section, the focus is on helping drivers to understand information before responding. We begin by highlighting that tourists often trust local drivers more than online sources, especially for food and travel recommendations. This can be shown here in this short comic. Therefore, the lesson goals for the reading section include identifying tourism vocabulary, understand passengers' messages, give polite recommendations, and to reply professionally in English. We will move on to the first activity, which is the vocabulary fountain. The vocabulary fountain is created using Genially, where learners are exposed to repeated key phrases. Here are the examples of the key phrases used in the Genially game. And this is the Genially game. The idea of this activity is that repetition strengthens vocabulary retention and automatic recognition. Once learners are finished with the first activity, they will move on to the ongoing lesson. There are 3 main parts in the ongoing lesson. Firstly, it is scanning messages, where learners practice identifying keywords quickly from the short passenger text. Here are the games for scanning messages. Secondly, it is short text reading, where learners have to go through tourism brochures and posters that contains useful information and identify key messages from it. Here is the game for that. And lastly, for part 3, we have how to reply to customers, which is when learners practice constructing professional responses to their customers. That is all for the reading section. Let's move on to the last activity, which is try it out. The last activity of the reading section, which is Try It Out, includes a real-world task where learners are expected to join a WhatsApp/Telegram group by scanning the QR code provided or clicking the link below. Inside this group, they are asked to practice useful English phrases, share experiences with other e-hailing drivers, and also learn from them too. One task we have asked them to do is to share one screenshot of a real interaction between a tourist or a passenger using English. Of course, they are also instructed to blur and hide all names and personal details before uploading. That's all for the reading section. Let's move on to the listening section now. The listening section is fully video-based to simulate real-life situations. We begin with a funny miscommunication scene as a set induction to show how easily misunderstandings can happen. Next, we have several activities for the listening section. Activity 1 is Say It Again, where learners listen and repeat common phrases. This improves pronunciation and familiarity with natural English variations. There are also slides provided so that learners can read and refer to. Next, we have Write and Respond, where learners listen to realistic scenarios and choose appropriate responses. This builds practical listening and decision-making skills. Afterwards, we have Around the World with Your Ear. Around the World with Your Ear is where learners are exposed to different accents, such as British and Australian accents. This prepares them for real international passengers. Finally, we have included the Politeness Pays podcast, which highlights how polite communication can lead to better ratings, repeat customers, and overall professional success. This ends with a Wayground quiz for reinforcement purposes. That's all for the listening section. Let's move on to the writing section now. For writing, the focus of this section is to handle complaints professionally. When learners scroll through, they are exposed to the platform used in this lesson and to a short preview of the instructional media kit. They are then required to click on this image to access the lesson, which is an interactive instructional media kit created with Genially. The activities and slides are included in this media kit to help learners practice constructing appropriate responses, especially using approaches like polite language formulas. A user manual here is also included as guidance. Learners click on this and they are then guided step by step on how to respond politely and effectively. That is all for the writing section. Let's move on to the speaking section now. The speaking section is highly interactive and practice-based. It focuses on differentiating good and bad driver-passenger interactions. The reason why the speaking section is so highly interactive is because all activities are required for the learners to record their own responses and then upload them in their respective Google Drives. We start off with a mystery audio activity where learners evaluate whether a driver-passenger interaction is appropriate. They can access the audio by clicking on these images here. They will then answer a few reflective questions such as, what did the driver say first and was the driver polite? They will then upload their recorded responses into this Google Drive link provided. The next part of the activity is audio phrase training, where learners are expected to listen to the audio, repeat the audio, and then personalize their own responses. The first set is to greet passengers. The second set is to confirm destinations. The third set is to offer help. And finally, the fourth set is for closing or saying goodbye. Part B is fast response practice, where learners are expected to respond quickly to the prompts provided. They can click on these images again to access the audio. A reminder is also given for them to upload their recorded responses into this Google Drive. Finally, Part C, Part D, post-lesson, and closure are combined into one media kit. They can access the media kit here by clicking on this picture. This media kit was constructed using Genially. For them to understand more about the instructional media kit, they may also click on this image to access the user manual. That is all for the speaking section. Let's move on to the assessment speech. The final section of this e-module is the assessments, where learners can see what each skill is aimed for in clear learning outcomes. For example, for reading, it focuses on understanding and responding to messages. For listening, it focuses on comprehension and recognizing accents. For writing, it focuses on polite complaint responses. And speaking focuses on fluency and appropriate interaction. We also provided rubrics so that learners can track their progress and understand expectations. Here's the rubrics for reading skill, listening skill, writing skill, and finally speaking skill. Here are the credible sources used for our e-module. Altogether, to conclude, English Behind the Wheels is designed to be practical, interactive, real-world focused. It equips e-hailing drivers with the communication skills they need not only to serve passengers better, but to also improve their professionalism, ratings, and overall job performance. Finally, we also have the feedback form inserted at the end, which allows us to continuously improve based on our user experience. Thank you.
Hello, my name is DANISH ZULKARNAIN and I am presenting the activities included in the module. The first sample activity is Vocabulary Fountain, which is a reading activity. The motive of this activity is to familiarize the students with passenger-related phrases. They will be given a list of common phrases used by passengers, and then they will be instructed to play drag and drop, which is a matching picture activity with its respective meaning. Hello, my name is DANISH ZULKARNAIN, and I am presenting the activities included in the module. The first sample activity is Vocabulary Fountain, which is a reading activity. The motive of this activity is to familiarize the students with passenger-related phrases. They will be given a list of common phrases used by passengers, and then they will be instructed to play drag and drop, which is a matching picture activity with its respective meaning. As for the second sample activity, it is a writing activity named Sticky Situations. Now, the motive of this activity is to familiarize the students with the correct and appropriate language when responding to a certain passenger. The students will be provided a guide on how to respond to a passenger appropriately, a specific formula. They then will answer 3 situations given by the teacher. The teacher can give feedback towards their answer in the comment section on the Padlet. As for the second sample activity, it is a writing activity named Sticky Situations. Now, the motive of this activity is to familiarize the students with the correct and appropriate language when responding to a certain passenger. The students will be provided a guide on how to respond to a passenger appropriately, a specific formula. They then will answer 3 situations. The first sample activity, which is a reading activity named Vocabulary Fountain. Students are instructed to read the cheat code phrases, which will help them improve their vocabulary by focusing on the highlighted words, for example, authentic or local or something like souvenirs. Then, after reading the cheat code phrases here, students will be instructed to play drag and drop, which is an activity involving matching pictures with its simple meaning. Students can simply click start to play the game. They then will read the instructions as shown here. Simply click start and students will be instructed to match the pictures. Let's play, shall we? This is here. This is here. This is here. And this one's here. It's nearby. And this one's for souvenir. And then they will be congratulated and be asked to read the post info, which is why vocabulary matters. Knowing these words can help you communicate more clearly and confidently in real-life situations. And after this, the game is done. As for the next sample activity, this is a writing activity. Students will be asked to use Padlet. Here, the teacher provides references for the activity and 3 situations that students will answer. Students will answer these situations based on the example given by the teacher, which is this, a formula given specifically for the students to use. Students need to answer a responding complaint using this formula, which is a greeting, plus clear reasons, and hospitality phrases. For example, hello sir, I would like to apologize for the delay. The road is slippery from the rain, so I have to slow down. Thank you for your patience. Now, as you can see here, there are 3 situations, and all 3 are answered by our first driver, which is Mr. Muhammad Aliuddin. So, he answered the situation using the formula given. Hello, Miss Jane. I'm sorry for the delay. There is a serious accident on the road and traffic has come to a complete stop. Thank you for your patience and understanding. I will reach you as soon as possible. Mr. Muhammad Aliuddin has successfully answered the situation using the formula given by the teacher, and the teacher can leave a comment on his feedback here any time for assessments.
Next, I am presenting one sample material from our ESP module, which we developed using Genially. This material incorporates game-based learning to check on our learners' understanding. Instead of a stressful quiz, this game acts as a friendly evaluation to test their work field communication skills in real time. Secondly, it contains interactive elements. Learners actively make choices throughout the game. If they choose a wrong answer for the statement, they are allowed to try again until they get the correct answer, which turns evaluation into an active learning progress. Finally, this material is convenient for learners to use. Our means analysis showed that our target learners face a major obstacle, which is time constraints. Because Genially is a friendly and highly flexible game, they can easily access it on their smartphones whenever they have a spare moment. Next, I am presenting one sample material from our ESP module, which we developed using Genially.
Today, I'm going to talk about the materials and activities in our A module were designed based on the needs identified from the needs analysis. Firstly, to address the learner's linguistic needs, we included functional English expressions and vocabulary related to transportation and tourism. For example, the cheat code phrases exposes learners to common passengers questions such as asking for food recommendations or tourist attractions. In addition, listening activities like the passenger mystery audio and speaking exercises provide pronunciation support and expose learners to authentic conversations, helping them improve their listening and speaking skills. Secondly, to address the occupational needs of e-hailing drivers, the material focused on real-life communication situations. Learners practice confirming pickup and destination details, explaining traffic delays, engaging in customer service and small talk, and using communication repair strategies when misunderstandings occur. For example, in the listening section, learners compare two drivers and decide which one sounds more professional and provides better customer service. Lastly, to address the learner's learning needs, the A module provides short and mobile-friendly lessons that can be accessed anytime. Interactive activities such as the drag and drop vocabulary tasks, quizzes, and audio response activities allow learners to learn at their own pace. Real-life scenarios and simulations are also incorporated to make learning more practical and relevant to their work as e-hailing drivers. Overall, the materials and activities were designed to provide practical, engaging, and self-paced learning experiences that help learners improve their English proficiency and communicate with more confidently with passengers. That's all from me. Thank you.
Overall, this ESP project helped us understand the importance of designing English lessons based on workplace needs. We learned to create practical, task-based materials, improved our teamwork skills, and gained valuable experience in developing learner-centered lessons for real-world communication.